Alright Carly, go ahead and weigh the empty graduated cylinder please. So what Carly's going to do here is she's going to weigh this graduated cylinder. She's making sure that this will end up being balanced. Now when she did this, she assured that the 20 there was in the notch at the back there, and now she's moving the front slider to get that as well. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so we can get a better view. Now I know it's a little difficult to see because the 20 is behind the hundreds block there, but it is in the notch and that is 20. And then the front slider here you can see is pretty close to being on the 7, but it looks to me like it's between the first and the second graduation there. So I would mark that off as being 27.05 grams. Now what Carly's going to do is she's going to add between 4 and 6 mils to this graduated cylinder. Now she's not real concerned about exactly how much she's adding as long as she gets somewhere in between 4 and 6. And I'll show you how we'll read that in a second.
Okay, so that would be Z to the 1.2.
Now just because it's between 4 and 6 doesn't mean we have to get exactly 5 or anything like that, but anywhere in between 4 and 6 will be fine here. How are we looking? Yeah, it'll be fine. That's good. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in here. So what I've done is I've moved the camera so that it's straight in line with the graduated cylinder, and I can see now that if I look at the bottom of the meniscus there, it's going to be exactly on that 5 line, so I would measure that as being 5.0. Now that we've got that volume, Carly's going to start weighing it. So what Carly's going to do now is she's going to add another 4 to 6 mils of the liquid here. Go ahead and put this on the... There we go. Now obviously she doesn't want to add so much, but it goes over the 10 mark on the graduated cylinder. So she's going to go ahead and add... She'll probably add another... well, somewhere between 4 and 5, just to make sure that happens. So that the final volume there ends up being fairly close to 8. Then what we'll do is we'll measure the volume that is actually in there, not the volume we added or the difference. Whatever's in there, that's the volume that we're going to use. Now what Carly's going to do is she's going to weigh that second addition of liquid, and you'll note that she's weighing the entire thing, and she'll just weigh that just as we did the first one. So what she's doing is she's weighing the entire volume that's now been added, not the additional volume. In this part of the experiment we're going to weigh and find the density of this rubber stopper. So the first thing we'll do is weigh it, and we'll weigh that just as we would anything else. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a small portion of water, probably around 20 to 25 mils, to this 50 ml graduated cylinder. It doesn't matter exactly how much, as long as it's somewhere in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this. Alright, so I'm looking at the measurement here, and this is just the water in the graduated cylinder. And it looks like the meniscus there is between the 21 and 22. So I'd mark that off as being 21.5. That's measured to 1 decimal place. Now that we've measured the water in the graduated cylinder, we're going to go ahead and add in the rubber stopper. Now you've got to be a little bit careful here. Make sure the rubber stopper doesn't splash the water out as it goes in. So just put it down at an angle like that, and slide it in, and then you can get the new volume, and that will enable you to get a volume for the rubber stopper, and then you can get the density because we've already got the mass. Alright, so this is part 3, and we've got a metal sample here. Could you hold that up please, Mason? There we go. And it's in a big test tube, and to weigh this out, Mason is going to use a weighing boat. Could you please put the weighing boat on the balance here? So the procedure will be that Mason will go ahead now and weigh this weighing boat, and then he will add the solid to the weighing boat, and obviously the mass of the solid will be the mass difference between the solid with the weighing boat and the weighing boat. Now that Mason has weighed the weighing boat, he's going to add and he's also marked down what the weighing boat weighs. He's going to now add the solid to the weighing boat. Then he's going to weigh that solid, and the difference will be the difference between the solid with the weighing boat and the weighing boat by itself. The next step, we're going to add 20 to 25 mils of water to a 50 mil graduated cylinder. Would you please do that, Mason? One thing you want to ensure, doesn't matter exactly how much you put in, that's good, anywhere between 20 and 25, but you need to ensure that the amount of water you put in will cover the amount of metal that's actually in your sample. And the other point I want to make here is that every single thing that you weigh needs to be used in the next step to do the volume for the metal. So if you were to use half of the original sample that was in the test tube, then only that amount could be put into the graduated cylinder to find the volume. So I recommend going ahead and using the entire sample, just as these guys have done. So I'm going to zoom in now, and we're going to take a look at that measurement. And you can see there that the measurement is above the 3 but below the 4. So you're looking at the 20 there, and then it's between the 3rd and the 4th graduation. So the measurement there is going to be 23.5. This will be measured to 1 decimal place. Now what's going to happen is Mason is going to add the solid to the water here. And you can see his technique. He's leaning this over and then carefully pouring the solid into the graduated cylinder so it doesn't splash everywhere. Alright, so everything that was in there in the weighing dish is now in the graduated cylinder, and we're going to remeasure the volume, and of course the difference will be the volume of the metal. So what we're looking at here is part 4. The densities of the liquids have been found, and they've been put in this test tube most dense to least dense. There's the most dense, there's the second most dense, there's the least dense, and you can see the phase differentials here as well. So we're going to add a bit of iodine water to this, just 5 drops. Kenan, would you please add 5 drops of iodine water? So just adding it in through the top of the test tube here. Now what I'm going to ask him to do is to go ahead and swirl a little bit. So now what's happened is we've added the iodine water. Kenan has been swirling it quite diligently, and what you can see here is the final effect. We've got, you can barely see it, but there's purple, that's yellow, and that's purple on the bottom as well. Could you just hold it up just a little bit? There we go. And you can see the purple on the bottom there as well. Right, thank you.